Hi guys, I'm Erica. Welcome to Hack Your Health. In today's video, I am going to give you a list of breakfast ideas for the Specific Carbohydrate Diet, and I'm going to make this into a series of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack and dessert ideas. So if you're interested in seeing the rest of those videos in this series, then you can always subscribe. Lately, I've been doing a lot of cooking videos, and I do have some videos for the things in this list already, but I thought it might be more efficient to you as the viewer to see these things as a list, since a lot of them are really easy to make and you probably already know how anyways. The first item on the list that I would suggest, especially if you're just starting the diet, is actually bone broth or soup made with bone broth. And the reason for that is because it's basically requires no digestion to digest broth. And it also has a lot of minerals in it. And if you haven't been absorbing nutrients for a long time, bone broth is a way to get minerals into your body that don't need to be digested in order to be absorbed. So I would definitely suggest that as the most gentle breakfast food. And you can also make different kinds of soup, such as chicken soup or squash soup or whatever other kind that you like, and have them for dinner and then eat them as a leftover in the morning for breakfast, and that will save you time if you don't feel like cooking a breakfast before work or school. So even though that isn't a conventional breakfast idea, I think that that would be a really great start to the day for people that are healing their digestive systems that doesn't take much time in the morning. So the next breakfast idea is to make an omelette, and that is what I did most of the time on the Specific Carbohydrate Diet when I cooked a breakfast. And the reason why I like omelets so much is because they're really easy to make, and because you can really make them very different depending on what kind of ingredients you use. So you could have a mushroom and cheese omelet, or you could have a cauliflower and curry omelet. And depending on the different vegetables or spices that you put in, you can have basically a whole different taste or flavor each day by still making omelets. So I do have a video that shows how to make two different kinds of omelets if you're interested. And another reason why I think that they are so great is because if there's more than one person eating and people have different tastes, like for example, you're cooking one for yourself and one for your spouse or your kids or whoever, and one person really likes mushrooms and the other person doesn't, for example, you can make two different omelets with different ingredients, and it really doesn't take much longer to do two different ones. So I've found that it's a very versatile meal that can make many people happy without much extra effort. The next idea for breakfast that I have is to make bacon and eggs, which of course is a very classic breakfast. Just make sure that you look at the ingredients on the bacon, because some kinds are Specific Carbohydrate Diet friendly and some aren't. Also, if you get a natural or a locally sourced bacon, it often tastes a lot better. So I would recommend going for the highest quality bacon that you can find and comfortably afford. And my favorite thing to do in this case is to first cook the bacon and then leave, some of the grease in the pan, and then either scramble eggs in the bacon grease, which makes them taste really good, or fry eggs in the bacon grease, so you can have either scrambled or fried eggs with bacon. And show me a person that doesn't enjoy eating that. It's a delicious breakfast, and because it doesn't have any sugar in it and it has a lot of protein and fat and nutrients, it really keeps you going for a really long time. Because if you eat something like cereal or sugary food in the morning, your insulin spikes and then it drops your blood sugar after a given period of time, whereas if you eat something like bacon and eggs, it's mostly fat energy, so it doesn't have that peak and then tiredness. It really keeps you level and keeps you going for a long time. So besides being Specific Carbohydrate Diet friendly, that's also a really good source of energy that kind of starts your day out on a nice even plane without the sugar spike that comes with a lot of breakfast foods. A lot like this idea is to have sausages and eggs, and I do have a video where I make sausages, eggs, and squash if you're interested in watching that. So you can have either the sausages and eggs by themselves, or if you wanted to add another kind of side like sauerkraut or some vegetable, like you could do sauteed mushrooms and onions or something as a side as well. That's a really balanced breakfast that's very satisfying and enjoyable to eat. So for portable breakfasts, this is not a very exciting idea, but another thing that I used to do a lot is to take hard-boiled eggs with me, and you don't really need to refrigerate it. They're really small and not very messy, so taking boiled eggs with you I found was a very convenient take-along kind of breakfast or even part of lunch, and I would suggest doing that if you're just in a pinch and are running out of ideas. That's another really easy idea, and even though it's not the most thrilling idea, it will get you through the day. And along those lines, when I was in university, before school, I would often just cut an avocado in half and put salt and pepper on it and eat it with a spoon. And since it's a fat-based food, it keeps you feeling full for quite a long time. You can also slice up avocado and use it as a side for any of these egg dishes. I find that that's really good, and it increases basically the fullness or the satisfaction that you'll feel from eating that meal, as well as adding a bit of color and variety. So another thing that I used to do was bake an apple, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember how I did that, but I'm pretty sure that I just put it in a little dish and put it in the oven with some butter and cinnamon on it, and that was something that I used to eat as a sweet treat every once in a while, and you can find baked apple recipes online. And another thing that I used to do was cook either apple or sometimes even pear, I believe. I would sometimes put them in a saucepan with some butter and some cinnamon and kind of saute them a little bit, just at a low temperature until they were soft, and that brings out the sweetness a lot and makes them easier to digest. And then you can either eat them by themselves like that as sort of a sweeter treat in moderation, or you could put them on top of yogurt and have that as a breakfast. You can also slice up apples and cook them on a baking sheet in the oven and add that to yogurt for breakfast, and that's more of a sweet breakfast idea. And if you do that, you can also drizzle a little bit of honey or maple syrup on top. Of course, be cautious not to eat too many sweet things throughout the day, because that might be counterproductive when on this diet, because even though it's legal sugar, it's still good to have maybe 1 to 2 fruits maximum per day, and kind of a moderation, like use honey and maple syrup in moderation. But that is a very nice thing to eat for breakfast every once in a while on this diet. And you can also have something like blueberries on top of yogurt with some honey on it. Or if you have a magic bullet or a blender, you could put some blueberries and yogurt. Or in my case, I used to use kefir instead of yogurt. I know that isn't technically legal, but that's what I found was so much easier to make, so that's what I did. So I would have blueberries on top of kefir, or you can put them in a magic bullet or a blender and make basically a smoothie out of them. It won't be as sweet as a lot of smoothies are, but if that's something that you enjoy, then that's a really simple breakfast idea as well. And that's also a source of probiotics. So if you tolerate those well, that is also really good for healing your digestive system, because you're getting that probiotics into your system right off the bat in the morning. And for baked goods, you can also use almond flour to replace flour in a lot of recipes. And I would recommend using that in moderation, just because it is still nuts, and nuts can be difficult for some people to digest. So I would say eat it if you tolerate it well, and if you don't, then I would just recommend, personally, I would recommend excluding it. But almond flour is SCD friendly, and there's so many recipes using it available online. I do have a video which is about how to make almond flour muffins, and those would be a really nice breakfast, especially if you just want to take it with you to go, or for kids or guests or others who are used to having a kind of baked good in the morning would be able to replace very easily other baked goods with almond flour muffins. There's also pancake recipes and other kind of morning recipes available online. So if you're looking for a kind of baked good in the morning, I would recommend almond flour muffins, especially because those are mentioned in the book. And then you might also get more creative and look into other kinds of recipes that you can make with almond flour. And if you're further onto the diet, of course, you could put either nuts or seeds on top of your yogurt, or some kind of seeds you can put in a smoothie as well. And I would say, you know best whether you're ready for those or whether you tolerate them well. But if you do, that also is a way of adding extra nutrition and easy, accessible foods for breakfast. And the last idea that I have for breakfast is to eat leftovers from the night before for breakfast. And that's something that I do a lot because I feel like even though these aren't traditionally breakfast type foods, it doesn't really matter. If you feel good and it gives you energy to get through the day and you like the taste and enjoy it, what does it really matter if it's supposed to be eaten for lunch or dinner? You can still eat it for breakfast. So for example, if you have leftover chicken and vegetables, or really any other kind of food that you've eaten, you can always have that for breakfast. And that way it's, for one thing, less effort, because I'm a fan of just getting on with your day and not worrying about cooking elaborate meals in the morning. That's my personal priority, and that might be different from person to person. Some people might really love cooking breakfast, so this wouldn't be relevant to them. But I find if you just want to get on with your day and have a practical solution, you can always just eat leftovers from the day before, or have a smaller breakfast and then have leftovers for lunch. I hope that this is helpful to you and has given you some ideas about breakfast. Personally, I mostly did either the kefir and fruit, which is supposed to be yogurt and fruit on this diet, or something like an omelette or other egg dishes. That's what I usually ate for breakfast. But of course, everyone has their own preferences and their own taste. And so hopefully there's going to be something here that you would enjoy making. And if you have any other breakfast ideas, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in my other videos about the Specific Carbohydrate Diet, I have them in a playlist on my channel. I used it for healing Crohn's disease about 6 years ago now. If there's any video suggestions that would be helpful to you, let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you want to see the next videos in this series. Okay, bye.